What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video. We have Modi and Russia row. U.S. tells India not to take friendship for granted. Oh, Lord. We got Vantage with Palki Sharma, and we know she calls out the West and the U.S. as well as anybody. So I'm excited to jump in. But before we do that, if you happen to enjoy the video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Also, if you would like to support the channel by becoming a member, there is a link in the description section. And if you do decide to support it, you will have access to exclusive benefits that I think you guys will enjoy.
So you have Biden pulling off a series of gaffes in the US. But this tendency seems to have crossed continents and made its way to Americans in other places, like India.
Really?
Yesterday, we saw a foot-in-mouth moment here. Courtesy Eric Garcetti, the US ambassador to India. Garcetti thought it was a good idea to lecture India over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent trip to Russia. Take a look at what he said.
I know that India, and I respect that India, likes its strategic autonomy. But in times of conflict, there is no such thing as strategic autonomy.
That was a shot fired at India and its relationship with Russia. The first rebuke was soft, but Garcetti followed it up by talking about India's relationship with the US.
Because this relationship in Washington is a special one indeed. It is very wide. In Washington today, where very few things unite American political leaders, it is bipartisan, it is bicameral, and it is bi-branch. But as I also remind my Indian friends, while it is wide and it is deeper than it's ever been, it is not yet deep enough. That if we take it for granted from the Indian side towards America,
he said,
it basically just sounds like, hey, like, either you do what I tell you to do or you're not my friend. It's like when you're at school, you can't be friends with me and be friends with them too, because I'm not friends with them, so you can't be friends with them. Huh? India has no ties to the U.S. They might have a friendship, but they have no ties to where they're made to be loyal. And they have no ties to Russia where they're made to be loyal. But if I'm being honest, when it sounds like Russia treats India a whole lot better than the USA treats India, where USA is like, hey, in order to be friends with me, you got to do this, and this. And Russia's like, I guess in order to be friends over here, I guess it's a mutually beneficial relationship between Russia and India where nobody requires this, and this to be friends. And so, which side would you go to in giving those kind of options? The side that's going to demand all of these requirements, or the side that's gonna welcome you with open arms, without strings attached? Which side would you choose? And I know India, like I said, they don't even choose sides, right? They like, hey, we don't got no ties to anybody. We make our decisions on what's best for our people.
That the India-US relationship is, quote-unquote, not yet deep enough. And he warned India to not take it for granted. Basically, he told New Delhi to not push its luck because the US may change its mind about the friendship.
Wow.
And this is the latest in a string of American lectures. First, there was Matthew Miller, the US State Department spokesperson. Listen to what he said.
As I said yesterday, we have been quite clear about our concerns about India's relationship with Russia. We have expressed those privately, directly to the Indian government, and continue to do so, and that hasn't changed.
Miller said that the US raised its concerns with India privately. Unwarranted, but at least it was private. Then there was the public rebuke by Ambassador Garcetti in New Delhi. His tone may have been friendly, but his message was not. And finally, there was Jake Sullivan, the US National Security Advisor. Yesterday, he said, and I quote, "We've made clear to every country in the world, including India, that a bet on Russia as a long-term reliable partner is not a good bet." Sullivan's statement is extremely ironic. He talks about Russia not being a reliable partner. And he said this yesterday, within hours of Garcetti telling New Delhi to not take Washington's friendship for granted. You can't make this up. The Americans really need to get their story straight. And more than that, they need to get with the times. They never liked India having strategic autonomy. It was the case in the last century as well, where the US was fighting its Cold War against the Soviet Union. India wanted to maintain good ties with both sides, and this angered the Americans. So they chose to lash out by supporting India's arch enemy, Pakistan. We all know how that's worked out. Yeah. Pakistan is a terrorism hotbed, and India is the world's largest democracy. This happened despite the US being on the opposite camp. A camp it chose because it disliked India's strategic autonomy. And now it is making the same mistake again by consistently lecturing India about its ties with Moscow and warning India about not taking American support for granted. It's like a song stuck on loop. Washington needs to come out of this old world mentality. It could not shake India's resolve in the last century when India was significantly less developed. So what makes the Americans think that they can influence India now?
Agreed. I completely agree with everything she said. And again, yeah, U.S., like you supported India, the country that's a terrorist hotbed that's right next to India that causes problems. Not a threat to India, really, a small threat if that, but still, right? They have tension with India. You decided to support them. But then now you want to say, India, we don't like you being friends with Russia. We don't like you getting supplies from Russia. Then offer India a better deal. Offer them a better deal. Their India does what's best for India, as every country should do what's best for the people in that country. And you can't try to bully someone into doing the things that you want. I know it has worked for the U.S. in the past, but it ain't working with India. So stop with the very passive-aggressive threats. Stop it.
India is fiercely protecting its strategic autonomy. Garcetti said there is no such thing as strategic autonomy in times of conflict. But whose conflict? This is not India's conflict.
Facts.
It's time Washington accepted this.
Yeah.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
On your support, and you can trust us to bring you the...
I guess that's all for the topic. But yeah, it's U.S. basically just trying to control everyone in order to weaken Russia as much as humanly possible. Which, I mean, it's understandable from the U.S. standpoint, but you just can't be mad at India for choosing to do what's best for India. It's ridiculous. and to lecture India is crazy. But I mean, that's the U.S. for you. That's the U.S. government officials. That's how they've gotten things done in the past, and so that's what they're gonna do. But that's all we got for this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you enjoyed that video, check out this reaction next. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. See you guys on the next one.